KCAA.
Are you ready for a new experience? To see life from another point of view? New hope, new expression, new joy. This is your radio hour. Welcome to Viewpoint with Father John.
And welcome, friends. You're tuned to NBC Radio, KCAA, 1050 AM, 102.3 FM, 106.5 FM, or you can tune in from anywhere in the world at kcaaradio.com. This is Viewpoint with Father John. I am your host, Father John Reed. As a reminder, you can follow us both on Instagram and YouTube and Facebook and all of them. So we're on every social media that you're out there. Or if you want to follow me on Twitter, you can follow me at Father John Reed. Father is spelled out, and Reed is the proper Irish R-E-I-D. So join us there. And if you miss a program, you can go to YouTube and in the search bar put Viewpoint with Father John, KCAA, and you get almost 4 years worth of old shows. I can't believe we've been here this long. All of God's children are endowed with extraordinary purpose and ability. I'm on a quest to help as many as possible, fully realizing their divinely inspired potential. Disposing a false narrative and embracing genuineness inspires clarity of purpose. My role is to help overcome self-imposed limitations in realizing one's spiritual potential. And folks, like I tell you every week, the best pharmacy in Southern California is Claremont Pharmacy. With such luck, they are located in Claremont, California. It just worked out, one of those quinicky-deaky, as they say. But it's owned by Dr. Nikki Ho. It's on the corner of Indian Hill Boulevard and Arrow Highway. This is where I get all my pharmaceutical supplies, particularly for my diabetes. And if you need to get vaccinated, she has both the Moderna and the Johnson & Johnson. And once the okay for the boosters comes through, I talked with Dr. Ho today, and she says she will be licensed to give the boosters as well. So be sure to take care of that. And, if you want the best DJ service in all of California, you want the Lakeside DJ Services.com. I'm catching up with Frank over here. And, Frank is the guy who owns that establishment, including a photo booth. So if you want your event to go right, just call Frank, or you can go to lakesidedjservices.com. I'm sorry I'm struggling with my voice a little tonight, folks. We have a couple of fires going on in Southern California, and even though I've taken sinus medicine, if they buy a commercial, I'll say which one. But I'm still having tight throat from it, so my voice is a little bit funny tonight, so I apologize for that. Also, our hearts go out to the victims of the mass shooting today. Last year, murder rate in America went up over 33%. And that's a shame. That's a shame. We're forgetting that we're all Americans here, and we shouldn't be shooting each other. We should be caring for one another. But that's enough said on that. This evening, I have a couple of guests that I'm really excited to have because they're doing some really important work. They are friends of the Pacific Electric Trail. Dennis Jones is the president of this organization, and Victoria Jones is the community outreach director. They are a 501c3. They've been incorporated, I believe, since 2005, if I'm checking the notes right. And so welcome to the show, both of you.
Thank you.
And tell us a little bit about what your mission is.
Sure. Thank you. Good evening, and thank you for welcoming us back, Father John. Our mission is really simple. We're here to really promote wellness via the 21-mile regional Pacific Electric Trail that connects 5 Inland Empire communities: Montclair, Upland, Rancho Cucamonga, Fontana, and Rialto.
Well, you have to mention Rancho Cucamonga twice because when I grew up, it was just Cucamonga.
That's true.
That's right.
And so
That's true.
we call it Jack Benny's town.
Right. So thank you for inviting us back. We were guests before a couple years ago, and you said if there was anything new and exciting or something that you wanted to tell and share, to come on back. And so we really want to thank you for your generosity and invitation. The Friends are very, very proud to be able to announce that with the assistance and the collaboration of the Native Sons of the Golden West, we were able to provide a historical plaque that will go on the 107-year-old Etiwanda Pacific Electric Depot in Rancho Cucamonga. Oh,
Is that the plaque right there?
There
Yep,
it is,
that's it.
exactly.
Those of you watching on YouTube, you can see in the screen the plaque that has been placed. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I
No,
apologize
thank
for
you
that, but
for-
I wanted to just point that out for those watching on YouTube.
We brought that to City Council and made that presentation, and we were very proud to be joined by the Native Sons of the Golden West. And this beautiful Etiwanda Depot has been vacant and boarded up for decades. And the mission of the Friends of the PE Trail really wanted to make sure that because it's on the National Register, that they actually have in possession now the historical plaque to either put on the building or somewhere very close so that that stays there to remind the public how important this beautiful, beautiful depot is.
Wow. Wow. Dennis, what gave you guys the idea to do this?
Well, we've been working towards the restoration and renovation of the depot for years. Our dream would be to have it restored and open as a community center that could be used for a museum. It could be catered to the citrus industry, the wine industry, and the train history of it, the red cars. The other thing, we would view it as a snack bar, a place you could get something cool to drink or hot to drink, depending upon the weather. Put a little air in your tires as you're traveling along the trail, and it could be a gathering center for the community. And there's a lot of room in the cargo area of the old depot that could be leased out for events. The city of Rancho Cucamonga has to determine right now where they're going to go with directions of this. They've had some visions that haven't panned out, so they're in reconsideration, I believe, at this time.
Well, that's a great idea. I hadn't thought of a place where you can put air in your tires for the people on the trail. That's great. Well, that's really thinking about what a lot of us don't consider. So that's really good. Victoria, how long have you been involved with this? From the beginning? Or?
16 years?
16 years now.
16 years, and very proud to say that, we've been very committed to raising money for awareness of the trail while it was being developed. And then, of course, from that sprouted our event that was our fundraiser, which was the Cucamonga Challenge, eventually was named the PE Challenge. And we also developed a trail enhancement program that, because it was very successful for us to talk to businesses who wanted to contribute towards a trailhead or a rest stop through a tax donation through a nonprofit. And then we were able to then give the money to the city, and trailheads and rest stops were springing up all over the place. And so our desire, of course, we did a very successful job in Rancho Cucamonga, and our desire is to take that to our sister cities and offer that same vision to the other trail cities for amenities, all kinds of amenities, trees for shade, etc.
Well, I know some shady people in that area, so they'll be happy about that. But on a serious note, it's really an important project. And I think probably what was most surprising to the community is you weren't there asking for money. You were going and finding a way to fund this for them. Is that correct?
Yes,
Correct.
we gave the money to the city. And for as much as we know, we're the only organization that has this business profile. And so we did that for 16 years, and then, of course, our annual event. And what we realized is even through COVID, we were surprised at how popular this trail was, because gyms were closed, people couldn't get out and do what they wanted to do, but the trail stayed open 365 days a year, 24/7. So people were walking their dogs, riding their bikes, running, using that as a release for mental health and physical fitness, all under the umbrella of wellness. And what we really noticed, there was so many four-legged friends that we hadn't taken the time to slow down and really realize so many people walk their dogs on that trail every day.
That brought a smile on Dennis's face.
It did.
And I'm a little bit hesitant to ask what the smile was about because I know your sense of humor.
Well, over the years, we've had running and biking events. We've done as low as 8-mile bike rides to 50-mile bike rides.
Wow.
And running event, a 5K, a 10K. And there were several years there where we did a 1-mile hoofing and woofing, so people would encourage to bring their pets with them and do the event. And it was very popular.
I got to find out who came up with that name. Huffing and
Guilty.
Yeah, the legal scale was kind of going that direction.
And then we also had, a couple years ago, we had I won't say a beauty pageant, but we had the pictorial, the cutest dog, male and female, on the trail over a span of months, and we had some very nice winners.
People voted, and what we realized is that because the four-legged friends are also social, they always see each other, and they're like, hey, Ralph, hey, Joe. You can tell they see each other every day almost at the same spot, and so it's really wonderful to witness it.
So I got to ask this, on the woof and hoof, or on the beauty pageant, if it was the ugly dog, is it a dog's dog? I don't know. How's that work?
You know, I
I'm gonna get
can't answer
letters.
for most people, but I can say that people see each other on a regular basis on the trail, and they don't necessarily remember, oh, what was that guy's name? What was this girl's name? Oh, George. I remember the dog, George. And that seems to be a theme.
Or who wears the red bandana or the hat or whatever. It's wonderful to see how. I have a story about a friend of ours who used to live right adjacent to the trail, and of course the dog told Daddy it's time for the walk, but the walk turned into visiting all the local businesses, and the dog would walk in the front door and there would be candy and treats for the dog, and they would come around the back. The dog would come around the back of the counter and know, I'm going to score at that place, I'm going to score over here. And poor little thing was gaining weight, not losing weight, because he was eating his way around town. But he was so popular, and then they moved out of town. But we really miss Nick and Tommy.
Well, one of our listeners makes the bandanas for dogs. And maybe we can talk to her a little bit about, with one of your upcoming things, and maybe she'd be able to donate some of those bandanas for them.
Okay.
So now, I would imagine COVID was a little bit challenging. I mean, I heard what you said about it was open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and so people are making use of it. What about for fundraising? What did that do for you?
So thank you for asking, because actually what we experienced was not uncommon with a lot of nonprofits and a lot of restaurants and businesses in general who couldn't operate the way they used to.
Right.
So we couldn't meet in person, we couldn't do fundraising events of any kind. So what we did is we shifted and we poured all of our energy into social media. So a young gentleman came to help us and instruct us on the best way to do that, and he suggested, let's write a blog.
Oh.
So we wound up blogging all in 2000, every single week. It was an exercise, but it was also something wonderful to learn. We talked about healthy eating, good recipes, mental health, the impact of COVID on children and how they're having to homeschool and the impacts to the family. You know, we're not medical professionals, but what we do know is the benefits of that trail and how everybody just embraces it and uses it to their benefit, even during COVID. So that's how we shifted. No fundraising of any kind, but we don't know what the future is going to bring because we're still facing COVID, and so. Thank
Right. No, that's really important. Well, we're coming up to our first commercial break, and so you're listening to Viewpoint with Father John on NPC Radio, KCAA, and we'll be back in 90 seconds.
loss of a loved one is one of the most challenging experiences in a person's life. It's hard to know where to turn to make your loved one's final arrangements. Jesse Ruiz at Personal Funeral Planning in Ontario will treat you and your loved one with the respect you deserve. Jesse served in the Marine Corps in Desert Storm and understands what it takes to provide loyal, personalized, and empathetic service to those who need it most. The families of Michael Jackson, Brittany Murphy, Ed McMahon, and many others have trusted Jesse to provide them with the highest level of service and support. To work with Jesse, call 909-762-4027, 909-762-4027, or visit their website, www.4pfp.org. www.4pfp as in personalfuneralplanning.org. Jesse Ruiz and Personal Funeral Planning, veteran-owned and operated, helping you plan a personal, lasting tribute for your loved one. www.4pfp.org.
Each year, millions of women are diagnosed with breast cancer. If you're over the age of 30, schedule a checkup. Remember, early detection can lead to early treatment. Today's health reminder is courtesy of Dina Allen at Farmers Insurance. For all phases of your insurance needs, call 909-283-7771. Again, 909-283-7771. Please ask for Dina. See why more people choose Dina Allen at Farmers Insurance above the rest. That's Dina Allen at Farmers Insurance, proud supporters in the battle against breast cancer this Mother's Day.
And welcome back. You're tuned to NBC Radio, KCAA, 1050 AM, 102.3 FM, 106.5 FM, or you can listen from anywhere around this world at kcaaradio.com. This is Viewpoint with Father John. I am your host, Father John Reed. And a shout out to all those who do tune in from all around the world. I've been getting your emails that you've been sending me, and I appreciate that you tune in each week. It's an honor for you to allow me to be in your home each week on this show. My guests this evening are members of the Friends of the Pacific Electric Trail, Dennis Jones, which is the president of the organization, and Victoria Jones, who is the community outreach director. And during the break, we're talking a little bit about some of the impacts of COVID on this trail, and particularly in terms of bicycle sales.
That's correct. So with everyone being home from work, because no one knew what to expect. So it's like, don't come into the office, don't come into the work. And so everyone was home, and so everyone was dusting off their old bicycle. They're getting their running shoes in shape, and they're going out, and the trail got very, very busy because it is open 24/7. And what that meant for bicycles is you were hard-pressed to find a bicycle in a store. They were about back ordered, they were sold out. And I know people that went into bike shops to repair their bicycles. And they said, oh, well, we could probably get to that in about 7 to 9 weeks.
Wow.
Just to get an adjustment because they were so backed up.
Now, I've noticed a trend this last year or two. It might have been going on longer, but it takes me a while to catch on. These electric bikes, are those real popular on the trail as well?
Very much so.
Extremely.
Yeah. And the e-bikes, there's different levels of an e-bike, and there's different trail rules and regulations about what e-bike works in what trail. And there's a lot of discussion about should they be allowed, why are they allowed? And to me, I look at the e-bike as a gateway drug to get a real bike. If it gets people outside and getting active on any level, I'm for it. Let's get people out, have fun, and a lot of people eventually will go to that. And for people my age, that is maybe in my future. I'm in my very late 60s, so, that may be the way I have to go, down the road.
Is he always late?
Yeah.
Yeah, his late 60s, yeah.
But that was a great question because the e-bike sales have soared. They're everywhere. And in terms of the Pacific Electric Trail, the guideline for that is you can be on an e-bike if it's an electric assist,
Right.
not a motorized. And there's a lot of people that see them as the same type of bike, but if you're into biking and you know the difference, that is the difference.
My brother Bob is seriously into biking. He does the 300 to 500 mile rides and stuff. And I won't even try to guess at how much money he spends on his bicycles because they're carbon fiber, all these
yeah.
things.
Oh, yeah.
And the good news about that is, if someone shoots at him, you can just hold the bicycle up. It'll be bulletproof.
You know, and I've had people tell me I should invest more money in my bicycles, and I think my bicycles are like my golf clubs. They're a lot better than I am.
There you go.
I have a ways to go.
I'm waiting to see how he swings that bike. That's for a whole nother show. Goodness gracious. Now, where's the starting point of this trail? Where would people go if they want to see this place?
At the intersection of Montclair and Claremont, over by the, let's see, just north of Arrow Highway.
Right, which
Sa-
is where Hunter is, yeah.
And Metrolink.
Right.
and Metrolink Station. In fact, the city of Montclair just approved the replacement. We just went to city council and at the city of Montclair and are in favor of the new bridge that's going to be put in there. And we want to make sure that there's maintenance factored into all of that, because it's one thing to put something in, but it has to have a life. And so they're putting in a steel bridge that won't burn down. Thank you very much.
Tell me more about this.
Yes.
I didn't know about this. So where's the bridge going to be, basically?
Basically where the old wood bridge is, they're going to replace it with a steel bridge.
Immediately west
Okay.
of Monte Vista.
Okay, now you're speaking my
That's
language.
your neighborhood.
My neighborhood.
And then it connects through the metro station, and then, of course, on into Montclair, short little ride into Upland. Upland just put in a trail amenity, I would say earlier this year, I can't remember what month, but they added a bathroom right there accessible at the trail, which those are far and few between, so that's great for trail users, whether you're a walker, a pedestrian, or a bicyclist.
Or a dancer.
Or, yes.
Doing that famous dance trying to get to the restroom.
Right. And then, of course, you continue on. You go through Rancho Cucamonga, go under the 15 freeway, head on into Fontana, keep riding, and go all the way to Cactus in Rialto.
Wow. You know,
21 miles.
that's impressive.
John, another great thing that's been happening is all the cities are tying in the flood control channels north and south to the trail. So in Cucamonga, you
Okay.
have Cucamonga Creek, Day Creek, and Deer Creek flood control channels, and now have pavement going north and south from the trail that you can access that. And that's actually very helpful for kids with safe routes to schools. It gives people a way, they don't have to drive somewhere with their bicycle to unload and then start on the trail. They can bike up and down from where their home is.
And leave their cars at home. And then the future expansion of that, the city of Fontana eventually, with the grants that they sought out, is going to connect the flood control channel, the
San Savine.
San Savine flood control channel, north-south to the east-west PE trail, continue on, and eventually, after several phases and more grant money, of course, connect that all the way over to Eastville and to the Santa Ana River Trail. And by doing that, you now have somebody who could ride their bike from the foothills all the way to the Pacific Ocean in one ride, with never having to get on a public street.
But not back.
But not back.
Well, maybe that, I can't say
Not
for
me.
that. But there are people who will do 100 miles with nothing. So I think that's a great accomplishment.
Now I know where you're going with that.
Yeah.
I
Well,
was going to say, is it a one-way
when I was
path?
younger, I did the ride to the beach, and now it's when you get there, you stop, you rest, you have a little bite to eat. It becomes afternoon. Now you're facing an uphill ride with headwinds.
Pick me up.
That's called Uber,
Yeah, exactly.
but a bike rack.
Yeah.
No, that's really pretty neat that they're going to take it that far. And I am glad to hear about the not just the bridge, but the restrooms, because you're right, that is important. You get out on those trails, and I don't know about you folks, but I tend to drink water while I'm in the heat.
You have to
And-
stay hydrated.
Exactly. And it's amazing, give a little shout out to my town, Claremont. They're one of the few towns I've ever seen that really invested in good restrooms for
Yes.
people. In fact, you go down to where City Hall is, or up from where I am, and not only are they there, they're well maintained and kept clean. So I am one who appreciates that the older I get.
Very good.
Right, right.
And, Father John, I want to make a shout out to our friend Joe Castillo at the Native Sons of the Golden West for providing and help us dedicate this plaque that was given to the city of Rancho Cucamonga for the Etiwanda Train Depot. That organization is pretty remarkable. They've been doing things like this for over 100 years. They have, and I would be wrong if I try to quote a number of plaques they have donated to organizations and facilities, but it's in the hundreds.
I think I know who would know. Our station manager, Mark Westwood, because he's a member of that organization.
All right.
Very good.
I want to say it's more like in the over 1,000.
Oh yeah, it's but I don't want to misquote.
Yeah, well, he's heavily involved with it. So, just a word to the wise. His name's Mark Westwood. In case you want to hear the name again, who to call to get more of those
Very good.
grants and donations and stuff.
Right.
And did I mention Mark Westwood's part of that?
Yes,
I
I think
okay.
you
something
did.
came up
I
in
think you
conversation.
did.
Yeah, I think it did. Yeah. Make sure he brings a checkbook.
One of the things that we just recently did, and I'll let Dennis speak about this, is something that we call a day on the trail, and we collaborate with some of our community members.
Okay.
And I'll let Dennis explain.
The most recent one was just this last month on August 28th. We met at the Route 66 trailhead at Pacific Electric Trail, kind of where Upland and Rancho Cucamonga come together on Foothill Boulevard.
Yeah.
And it's a huge, huge trailhead facility. And we had members of the REI team, their bike repair group, their manager, system manager. They had a huge outturn. And then also the Rancho Cucamonga Sheriff's Department was there.
Oh.
And they came out and joined us. And what
On
we did
bikes.
is a meet and greet. And basically we brought lots of water, some nice giveaways. REI did the same. And we try and just, talk up the trail safety, make sure people are having fun, their bikes are in good shape. And we actually had a wonderful visit from the local Upland Pedigo store. And if you want to touch base on that, that would be good.
Well, she was wonderful. Because of social media and one of the invites that was presented, she took a group, and she calls it a tour, and she said to me, because of COVID, she hadn't been able to do a lot of this community outreach. They rode their bikes over, and she was saying how she wants to get back into that outreach and do touring around Upland, but she didn't have enough information about Rancho. And the friends have been tossing around this great idea of, if you were on the trail and you saw a QR code and it told you that if you go up 200 yards and make a right-hand turn, there's either a museum, a historical site, there's something, a point of interest.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be great? So in terms of tourism, economic development, people coming in and bringing your guests and visitors. So she and I are going to be talking about that, but we're, very interested. Those day on the trail events are maybe quarterly if we're lucky, and they're about education. They're about fixing somebody's brakes. We're not selling anything. We're just
Right.
connecting, and it is. We actually this time we took a couple of surveys and tried to gather some good information and use that time effectively. And so it just builds for stronger bonds, good collaboration. And REI, bless their hearts, was our very first sponsor way back 16 years ago. They hosted us at our very first event, which was a poker ride, and they let us meet at their place for a couple of years until we outgrew them. So we're
Wow.
like family. So coming back together with the new management team and that wonderful energy was like coming home during COVID. So that felt extra special.
Now, I'm curious, and I don't know if you know the answer to this or not. Who maintains the trail? Keep it clean and stuff.
Each city is responsible. They lease that property from SBCTA, San Bernardino Public It used to be Sandbag. I forget what the acronym stands for right at this moment.
It's San Bernardino cities.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and associated cities, and each city is responsible for maintaining and cleaning their own trail, trees,
okay.
water, graffiti, everything. And it's not done by one agency. And so we're very, very fortunate that we happen to live in Rancho Cucamonga, and there is no graffiti. And when there is, it's called in and it's taken care of. We're really, really fortunate to have a trail in our backyard that everybody loves to hang out on.
Yeah, you know, the priest in me automatically thinks back, wow, there's some great projects the Boy Scouts could probably be involved with. And that would also help them have more bicycle awareness and things like that, because, you know, the Boy Scouts are about educating and becoming a full
Absolutely.
person.
And we tried that a couple of times so that we could help them get their Eagle Scout badges and such. And
Yeah.
the timing of what they want to do is the same as the Friends, but it doesn't necessarily always fit into the timing of the city. So we've missed several of those opportunities to help the Boy Scouts, but we never stopped trying. So
That doesn't
Right.
mean they haven't performed. They have come out and done a lot of graffiti removal, painting walls.
cleanup,
They've done cleanup for different areas on the trail. They have been magnificent.
great
It's a
community
great
partners.
organization.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
I spent a week part of that. Actually, as a Cub Scout and such. Well, that's wonderful. Now, this is going to seem like an odd question, but I think it's an important one because as I get older, certain things I find important to me. Access for emergency personnel. Is that pretty open and stuff? Is it easy to get to for emergency
Yes and
responders?
no. So the trail entry points from streets are gated.
Okay.
So you have the width of a bicycle, or let's say, a little bit wider than a bicycle, and a wheelchair obviously fits, but they don't want them open for vehicles to drive in.
Right.
Every light post along the trail has a number. And if you have an emergency and you give them the nearest light post number, they know exactly where you are.
Yes.
And so the sheriffs, the local paramedics all have keys for those gates to drive in accordingly.
Yeah. Well, that's good. And I know it's kind of a oddball question, but I'm thinking about people that are around the age I am who are getting older as well. That could be very important because knowing that there would be access might open it up for other people who would be afraid to not go there because they didn't think they would have emergency services.
Yeah.
So, outstanding. What are some of your favorite parts of being a part of this? I know there has to be some great memories.
Of the trail or the organization or
Either or and.
I guess I'll go first. I will first say that the legacy by being invited to get involved in a nonprofit that was being formed. Bob and Pat Curtis were two of the founding members that filed for the nonprofit status and put the first check for seed money when there was no logo, no website, no organization. We came on board and asked too many questions, so therefore they said, you're staying, and we haven't been able to get away since. But at the same time, it's an honor to have the baton handed to you from the president to say, you guys are going to take it now. And so what we're hoping that somebody would see the same opportunity to say, I believe in preserving history, the Etiwanda Depot, wellness, exercise, and I would like to teach that to my kids, or that this next generation might find the interest to be able to come and do that. And it would be an honor to be able to pass that baton on. What about you, Den?
I guess I have to go back to how we got started.
Okay.
We were first together. We went back east to the Midwest where I grew up, and nice visit with family. And I saw this blacktop path going through the country into the woods. I said, what is that? And they said, oh, that's the bike trail. And part of the Rails to Trails organization, nationwide group, they replace old abandoned rail lines with trails for running, walking, biking. And it's a constant effort. It's a huge organization. So when we found out locally that our town was going to be converting the trail, or the rail into a trail, I said, all right, how do we get involved? I want to be part of this. So we visited REI, their grand opening. Bob and Pat were sitting at a table saying,
Yes.
hey, we want to do something, but we don't know what we're doing. So we met with them, and then we went to the first meeting. Again, stuck my hand up and say, so what are you doing, and how do you make people aware, and how do you raise money? We haven't come up with anything. I said, well, let's put on a bike ride, because I had done one years before. That led to getting involved and becoming a member of the Bike Ride Directors of America, and we did 14 years of this event, grew it to 400 entries year after years, and then their accompanying family members. So that's kind of our pathway, and it's no pun when I say that we have given blood, sweat, and tears to this over the years. This one day that we were doing the event, a brick fell on her foot, crushed the bones in her foot, and she toughed out the event until afterwards, and then we went to the hospital.
I don't know what I
Wow.
was thinking. I really don't. I don't know what I was thinking.
But we have given, and I won't say tirelessly because we do get tired, but we have given year after year. And I have to say it is a kind of a greedy thing for me, because when I make myself of service, I get back so much more, and that helps me in every aspect of my life.
So it's not bad you got railroaded from the rails
Nah,
to
I
trails.
get it.
Speaking of railroading, we're coming up to our next commercial break, and I'm getting railroaded by the sound booth saying go to commercial. So you're listening to Viewpoint with Father John
Thanks.
on NBC Radio KCAA.
The loss of a loved one is one of the most challenging experiences in a person's life. It's hard to know where to turn to make your loved one's final arrangements. Jesse Ruiz at Personal Funeral Planning in Ontario will treat you and your loved one with the respect you deserve. Jesse served in the Marine Corps in Desert Storm and understands what it takes to provide loyal, personalized, and empathetic service to those who need it most. The families of Michael Jackson, Brittany Murphy, Ed McMahon, and many others have trusted Jesse to provide them with the highest level of service and support. To work with Jesse, call 909-762-4027, 909-762-4027, or visit their website, www.4pfp.org, www.4pfp as in personal funeral planning.org. Jesse Ruiz and Personal Funeral Planning, veteran-owned and operated, helping you plan a personal, lasting tribute for your loved one. www.4pfp.org.
It's time to shop in the cool, relaxed comfort of the Tri-City Shopping Center in Redlands, conveniently located on the I-10 freeway between the Alabama and Tennessee exits. Bring the kids too and watch them play in the only indoor fun center, High Five Indoor Playground, where parents are welcomed on the playground. Birthday celebrations are encouraged, so make plans for some great fun at the mall. More reasons why the Tri-City Center is called the Mall with a Heart.
And welcome back. You're tuned to NBC Radio, KCAA, 1050 AM, 102.3 FM, 106.5 FM, or you can listen from anywhere around the world at kcaaradio.com. This is Viewpoint with Father John. I am your host, Father John Reed. And my guests this evening are friends of the Pacific Electric Trail. This is Dennis and Victoria Jones. Dennis is the president of the organization, and Victoria is a hardworking community outreach director. And, I learned as president of the board for NCADD, I watch everybody else work. So how hard is he working you?
He sends me out and he says, go get them. And then I do. And then he says, okay, slow down a little bit.
Yeah. When you're doing these things, do you have any upcoming events that our listeners might be interested in?
I wish we did.
Okay.
Unfortunately, because of COVID, we really can't do those gathering events, which are our fundraisers. And we are always trying to look for creative ways to get our word out to the community. And so it seems like if we don't understand social media, we're going to miss the boat. And so we did that last year, but we're looking for another social media person to come help us do that.
Nice. Now, I'm glad you put that out there. If people wanted to get involved and want to know how to get a hold of you for that, how would they do that?
Well, if you go to our website, www.petrail.org, that's our website. You can put in a request there. You can certainly, we have a Friends Facebook page that I think.
Friends of the PE Trail, yeah.
Okay.
And I monitor that pretty much daily. And then Victoria and I both look at our website and make sure that we're trying to stay on top of things.
Nice.
But yeah, we do have a need for a social media person. If there's someone with grant writing history or knowledge, that would be a benefit also.
And then something else that can happen that doesn't require fundraising necessarily, but it's to have somebody who really wants to take the lead on doing a weekly bike ride.
Oh, nice.
Meet this group at this corner and get on the trail and off you go, and you have to be committed to do that. And if we don't have the stamina to be able to do that, and somebody else may be stronger, younger, or that group starts to grow, now we have more people who are understanding this is a lot of fun to ride as a group on the trail. We had a friend just tell me out of state that she went on a full moon hike last night, and we've talked about maybe years ago when we had more energy is to do a full moon bike ride. Why not? There's
Yeah.
so many possibilities, of
Yes.
course.
I
I
think
think
that's
one
a
of the
great
things I
idea.
wanted to share with you is that you had asked that question, what are some of the highlights? I think the other thing that weighs on my heart in a really positive way is all of the friendships that we have made and those relationships that we've built with our community partners. We know every bike store owner and employee by heart. They know us. Hey, you're the trail lady. We know you. We've made a couple of safety videos. Dennis did chalk circles in 6-foot circumference. And we tried to motion and explain to people with our masks on, of course, please, even on the trail, keep your distance. And so we're always about active transportation, education, wellness, but mostly fun.
Yeah, well, that's really a good thing to put in there. The remind people of the 6-foot thing, particularly when you are exercising, because even with the mask, you're still breathing hard.
Yes.
So that's great. Give the website again for the people listening.
It's www.petrail.org.
Beautiful. And I want to encourage people listening that if you want to get involved, do this. These are lovely people. I know them personally, and you really enjoy working with them. And healthy emotional balance for me is always to be a part of something big, larger than yourself.
Yes. Yes.
And this is an opportunity for people that they can do that. And Frank's putting up on the screen here for those watching where you can
Thank you,
go,
Frank.
the website,
What a guy.
and also where you can donate, because that's very important. Because it takes all of us committing to do something, even if it's just $1, it's something.
Absolutely.
And that $1 may seem like nothing to somebody else that's a huge amount of money. So don't let whatever you're able to give, and I'm not trying to fundraise for them right now, yet at the same time I thoroughly stand behind what this program's about, what this organization's about, because it's about giving to others, it's about encouraging good health, good exercise, but more than that, it sounds like it's about community as well.
It really
Very
is.
much.
And I can remember in elementary school, what we used to call grade school, remember that? That one of the things we got graded on was citizenship. Well, I think we've kind of forgotten a little bit about what it means to be a good citizen. And to be a good citizen, you have to be part of a community. And to be part of a community, it's not a spectator sport. You must be involved with it. Now, I'm not talking politics. Leave the politics at home. We got enough headaches. But this is a way for people to come together, if I'm hearing you correctly, where it's a community within itself.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know the biking community is a community within itself, but it seems like a great way to not be so alone in this big world.
One very obvious thing that happens, if you go down any street, down any freeway today, look at the people in the cars around you. Are people smiling at you? Not usually. You get on a bicycle, I don't care if you're 3 or 93, people are smiling, riding their bikes, running on the trail. And that is significant to me.
Yeah.
One of the things I did want to also share with you is that because from time to time there's opportunities for us to work with the bike shops, sometimes, and just more recently with the municipality, if a police department has confiscated or they've not a bike that was stolen, then
Right.
gets returned, or somebody doesn't come and get it, and you have a stockpile room of bikes
Right.
that need repair. So we connected the dots. I do that very well. I'm a good dot connector. Connect that agency with one of the local bike shops. They did the repairs for free. Get these bikes back up and running, because you'd be surprised to learn how many people don't have cars. We all take for granted that we do,
Right.
and they don't. Having a bike can change somebody's life. If you're trying to get transportation to that job and you might be on the cusp of homelessness, or you don't have that ability to be able to afford insurance and or a car, having that bike gives you freedom. And
Yes.
so we've found that oftentimes when we get involved in those projects, those are the most satisfying, because that person is grateful, whether it's a student or somebody that's trying to get to a job and earn money for their family.
Oh, that's a wonderful idea. You know, I immediately thought back when I was a child and someone had stolen my bicycle. And I lived in Ontario, and I remember when they opened the storeroom doors, and there's all these bicycles, and I had to figure out which one was mine. But the reason they knew was back then the police would come to the different elementary schools and license the
Yes.
bike.
That's right.
That was the
And
old
the sticker was on there, and it was kind of neat. I kind of think that we should go back to something like that, because I actually rode my bike better, because I thought, okay, this is licensed. Now I was only, 7, 8 years old, maybe 10 years old. But I felt like I was a part of something important.
That's right.
And so I wanted to be a safe rider on my bike. And it may sound corny to some people, but I think it's a good mindset.
I just saw something on a DIY show that I love to watch, where you're charging your bike, exercising, and you're charging your battery that charges your phones and your computers. And Dennis has a great story that he can share about, was it Colombia?
It was in the country of Colombia. This goes back a good dozen years that I heard about it. There was a town that had a great tourist community area, a river walk type of area.
Oh.
But they were struggling with their economy. There is also outside of town a prison. So someone thinking ahead connected the dots, put in exercise bicycles in the prisons, ran the cables, and prisoners on good behavior could sign up to pedal, and on a very small portion reduce their sentences by putting in so many hours pedaling that generated the power for the river walk area in the village.
And get exercise and get fit at the same time.
It reduced the bad behavior in the prison. It increased people's energy levels and their physical fitness. It reduced the cost of utilities for the town. It was a win-win-win all the way around. That's creative thinking on someone's part.
And both people felt empowered.
Yes.
Yeah, I got you.
Getcha?
I keep that up. I'll be pedaling one of those bikes. Get more stuff in there. Have you thought about having it sounds like you might have done something like this already, for the community? I know the bike shops help with this, but a community bike repair work come together?
I was actually part of the
Bike rodeo?
bike
No, no,
rodeo.
no.
No, not bike rodeo. It was the Viva La Bike in Rancho Cucamonga. It was a bicycle coalition that we would co-op that we would set up on Saturday mornings on the trail, and we would do free repairs and adjustments. And we would encourage people, if they wanted to donate, that's fine, but we would prefer that you would come back and donate a little time, learn how to do your own repairs,
Right.
and pass it forward. But yeah, I did that for a couple of years.
On a bicycle rodeo, where you do lasso skateboards.
That was just the term actually here in Redlands, I
Yeah.
believe, for the bike repairs.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And that was part of a sister group, the Inland Empire Bicycle Alliance.
Oh, nice.
We work a lot with neighbor groups, Pomona Valley Bicycle Coalition. We work with the Los Angeles Bicycle Coalition. There's a lot of groups out there, and we do work together, but it's not as advertised as you would think.
No, I get that, and it's kind of neat to see that you're not trying to be exclusive, that you're trying to spread this around to as many people as possible,
Absolutely.
so that many people could benefit from it. That's terrific, because one thing I've seen through the years, and particularly in priesthood, I've seen it where people become exclusive and they want to be a star and all this, and they wonder why they fail. Because they didn't involve enough people. And if you're going to have, if you want a big tent, you have to have a lot of poles in that tent, and we
Yes.
all have to have a little standing in that.
So when Dennis was talking about the weekend bike repair, it was all volunteer.
Right.
And it was also with the knowledge that the shops, it wasn't competing with their techs to come bring your bike in for X amount of dollars to get your bike repaired. This is for the guy who doesn't have the extra money or
Right.
just needs that adjustment or that flat fixed or the whatever. And it was in no way in
Brake
competition.
pads, yeah.
And so everybody was graceful with each other and didn't have to worry about competing for business.
Well, I'd certainly be happy to, as you have these events, if you shoot me a flyer on, I'd be happy to announce it on the show that, hey, this is going on with this group. So you get a little bit of support from this area as well, because I think it's really a well thought out thing that you have going on.
One of the groups that we have helped out in the past has an event coming up next month,
Oh, okay.
and that's in Los Angeles, Ciclavia, which is Cycle LA. It's always on a Sunday. It's going to be October 10th, and they open up the streets. I think it's going to be about 6 to 7 miles of downtown LA, and it's going to be for walking, biking, people on skateboards. It's a fun family event where the streets are open. There's no cars.
For those of you watching on
There you go.
YouTube, you can see the flyer for it that Frank has put up there. See, this is why you have to use Frank for all your events, because, he thinks of everything.
Right.
And we'll do the same for you guys too.
Very
And so,
successful event.
Yeah, we have volunteered at those different Ciclavias over the years. I think the first one they had, we went and they were hoping to get 50,000 people to show up.
Wow.
And they quit counting around 240,000.
It was massive.
Wow, I'd say so.
And we've seen this grow over the years, and we're extremely happy to support them. Of course, the Metrolink provides the bike trains, and so if you're lucky and you get on the early train and you see the bikes are stacked up and everybody's in ride gear with their helmets, and we're making our way into LA, well, the train comes this way too. We were hoping at some point Ciclavia would consider, please bring Ciclavia to San Bernardino County.
Yeah.
We would love to have an open streets event here because we could certainly support that. Anyway,
So take the clothes hangers off your bikes and pump up the tires for October 10th in LA.
There you go. Well, we're down to our last 2 minutes of the show. What thought would you like to leave our listeners with to keep in mind?
well, I want to again thank you for inviting us back. And really the reason we're here is because of your invite to share new information. And what we wanted to share is the significance of preserving history, which is the Etiwanda Pacific Electric Depot, that could, if it was restored, serve the community. And if you want more information about this beautiful relic, please contact the Friends of the PE Trail at www.petrail.org.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Well, I appreciate both you coming on because this was good information for listeners to have. And for listeners, I really want to encourage you to get involved with this. It's a worthwhile organization. And if no one told you this week that they love you, let me be the first. And thank you for once again tuning into Viewpoint with Father John on NBC Radio, KCAA. And it's just a pleasure to have you tune in each week. And we'll be back next week with another episode.
Thanks, John.
God bless.
Thank you.